Welcome to Emerge and Empower Podcast TV, a platform where resilience meets transformation. Here, we amplify voices that have faced trials, trauma, and adversity, stories that inspire hope, healing, and empowerment. Every episode brings raw, unfiltered conversations with individuals who have risen from hardship, embracing faith, strength, and purpose. Join us as we break the silence, uplift one another, and emerge stronger together. New episodes air Wednesdays at 6 p.m. English and Saturdays at 6 p.m., with select Saturdays in Creole for our Haitian audience.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Emerge and Empower with your host, Dr. Lynn J. And once again, I'm happy to come to you here on the set as we bring yet again more stories to help you heal for real. All right, heal for real, not superficially, but for real. Emerge and Empower, as you know, stems from my own personal journey, which is called She Mergins, I Am She, my first book, and the second book, She Mergins, The Shift. Soon to release the third book that's called Unholy at the Table. That's going to tell you how I felt as I went through these emotions as it related to me and God. So on today, yet again, we have another individual that will be coming here sharing her story, her transformation, and what she has come away from. As we know, each and every day, we heal. Healing is continuous. Healing is forever. Let us just open up our hearts and allow God to bring that healing in. Trust God. Trust the process. Trust what God is about to do in your life. Because without that, then it's like, you know what? It seems like it's a wasted effort if you are not trusting God. Because you cannot do it on your own. You cannot do it in your own strength. No one can. I've tried it. All right. So I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir when I say this, but let us trust God. So let us just get ready, get on the front row seat. All right. Get on the couch, get ready, whether in your car, whether you're at home, wherever you are watching right now or listening to us, because we are both podcast, audio, and also visual. YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Follow us on Emerge and Empower with Dr. Lynn J on YouTube. The same with Apple Podcasts and all the other podcast platforms. You know what to do. Go ahead and share, share, share. Let everyone know that you are on with Dr. Lynn J. She is on. Let's pull up. Let's get into our seats and let's listen to yet another empowerful, impact segment. I got to go back and cut that. A powerful segment for you and your audience. So let's go right in here as we have our guest on today. Her name is Leah as she comes here on the set. And I would like for you to understand Leah is a mother of two, stepmother of two, math teacher, lay preacher, and teacher of Christian meditation. She lost her birth mother when she was only 2 months old. Thus, she was raised by her grandmother until her dad remarried when she was almost two. She wasn't told of her birth mother's passing until late elementary school. Subconsciously, she felt a lack of rootedness and safety throughout her childhood and young adult. Her greatest fear as an adult was losing a spouse. However, it was exactly that, losing a husband in late August of 2021, that finally forced her to turn her insecurities over to God, heal her mother wound, and find fullness of peace and joy that God intends for us all. Let us welcome Leah to the set on today, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Emerge and Empower. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm just wonderful. Thank you so much for this honor to be here with you and to share my story and to just bring hope and joy to others on their journeys. Um, yeah, this has been an amazing transformation. Thinking about where I was as a young person, as a young adult, and then now, in having lost my husband and going through widowhood and now remarried with, 2 children, 2 stepchildren, and feeling that I'm the most blessed person on the planet, feeling just so in touch with God's peace, God's joy on a daily basis. And, that transformation and what's possible is just what we're here to, help others along the way, and how they have helped me, of course, on my journey.
Right, right, right. So I want to thank you for that. I know it's not easy to lose a loved one, let alone a spouse when you have children. All right. And that's also a grieving moment as well. But I want you to take your time as we are here on this platform and just take us through your personal journey and what you would like to share with the audience on today.
Absolutely. So this is a part of the story that I don't think I've shared elsewhere. And but I felt like the Holy Spirit was calling me to share this on this particular platform. And that's more focused on the mother piece, because I didn't realize how much that underlied so much of what I experienced as a young person and in my marriage. And there were so many issues that stem back to that not feeling safe and secure, that stemmed from losing my birth mother. Um, and so just kind of going back to the very beginning, my parents were high school sweethearts. And they had me when they were in their like 24-ish, 25.
Mm-hmm.
And my birth mother just adored children, couldn't wait to have a baby of her own. And so when I was born, she was just overjoyed. But unfortunately, or God's will, it happened as God intended. But about 2 months after I was born, she passed away in a car accident.
Wow.
And of course, I did not store these memories. I was not aware of these
Right,
memories.
right, right,
But the infant, when you have that attachment to the mother
right.
and the mother's suddenly gone, there's something in there subconsciously
Yes. There's a void.
there's a void. And I don't think this is just isolated to me and my experience. We all have a void of some kind, and that's
Yeah.
the God hole, right? And parents do their best to fill that, to give you that security and that base. And we all have that wound. Some of
Right.
you are going to relate more to me than others, but we all have it. We all have something that just says, I'm not totally safe. I'm not totally secure. I don't
Yes.
feel that. And so, mine was, I could point at it, but not everyone can, but it's there. And we all have to look there
Mm-hmm.
to find that. So when I was 2 months old, like I said, I was actually in the car with my mother. I lost my mother and my grandmother.
Wow.
And I broke my hip in the car accident. And
Wow.
so I was in like a body cast for a few months. Um, Obviously, my dad was just utterly devastated and couldn't
Mm-hmm.
function for a couple weeks anyway. And then he got back on his feet to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother took me in and did the mother role for
Right.
about a year and took full-time care of me while my dad was at work and getting back on his feet again. There's a lot of joy in this journey, and I want to share the
Mm-hmm.
joyful moments because how God
Right.
is present.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the woman who was the replacement for my birth mother, while my birth mother was on maternity leave, my dad went in to return the typewriter to the office. So my birth
Okay.
mother's typewriter, to turn everything to the office, get everything back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As he walks in, he sees this woman there coming down the stairs, and he said she glowed. And that became my mother that I know, who
Right.
married this
Okay.
woman. So
Wow.
God provided the mother to me that I
Right.
knew as mom.
Mm-hmm.
So very, very cool. She said that she didn't want any more children because she couldn't love anyone else as much as me, which is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And she really did try to be, everything she could to me. And she was
Right.
wonderful. She was absolutely a wonderful mother. And um, however, there are things there when you don't have that biological connection. There's something
Yeah.
just a little bit
Yeah.
missing.
There's some lacking.
There's something there. And there was also compounded by my grandmother, and my dad and mom lived next door to each other. And
Okay.
my grandmother, when she was kind of forced to hand me over to my now mom, who would just
Mm-hmm.
come in the picture. Here she'd been raising me for the last year and a half, and now this
Right.
other person comes in and kind of takes her away from her. And there was this silent animosity between the two of them that
Mm.
I didn't understand. and they try to keep it from me because they wanted what was best for me. But children can sense things.
Right.
And it just sensed there was something there. And I didn't understand why my mom didn't like my grandmother that much.
Right.
And it was this weird sort of difficulty there.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me when I was 8 or 10 years old, I don't remember exactly how old, but late elementary school, I was told what had happened. And it sort of all clicked for me and made sense in a lot of ways. I understood, oh, that's why I don't look exactly like my mother.
Right. A lot of things were answered.
Yes, a lot of things were answered. And when I saw the pictures of my birth mother, I could see, oh, that's who I look like. And even some of the ways her posturing, the way she stood, the way she carried herself, and the pictures my dad showed me,
Mm-hmm.
I saw myself in them. I could see some of those connections. And my mother that I knew, my living mother, she, again, we had a wonderful memories together. She taught me how to, she read to me every night. We taught me how to cross stitch. And my favorite memory of her is dancing in the kitchen of the Pointer Sisters, which is just a lovely memory of just being silly together. But again, there were so many things that were different between us. My dad and I are two peas in the pod, and my mom and I we're just very, very different people. And that was difficult. So my dad would take me on trips to out and about and just tell me about my birth mother and tell me little things about her so I could understand, sort of that background, where I came from and all of that. But I said there was that hole and I felt it. And when I hit middle school, and actually, Dr. Lynn, I just connected the dots today about this because I
Wow.
knew that middle school was very traumatic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all go through difficulties in middle school. Our bodies are changing. Girls just get mean. I mean, it's just what it is. But I was I handled it especially poorly. I just hold up. I refused to talk to anybody. I just
Wow.
went within my shell. I didn't feel comfortable or safe to put myself out there in any way. I felt so vulnerable. And now looking back on it, it seems so
Mm-hmm.
clear to me. There was this piece of just not feeling safe
Right.
that was in there that I think went back all the way to that. And it got so
And
bad.
middle school was when that revelation came to you.
Well, I didn't even know why. I mean, I found out about my mother before middle school, but during
Okay,
middle school,
elementary. But
yes,
as you move from elementary to middle, you're still feeling from this place. So you're still trying to put the pieces together. You're still
absolutely.
acknowledging, you're still realizing, you know what, your mom isn't in your life, even though your stepmother is in your life, but the one you thought was mom, now you're starting to see a lot of things. So, and of course, as you go into middle school now, you no longer that little girl. You have to start doing things on your own, find yourself, understand your feelings, all of these things. So I'm sure you're thinking a lot.
Yes, there's a lot of thinking and not a lot of courage. And my parents would tell me things. They say, Leah, you get stubborn over the weirdest things. Like the things that matter, you just like a doormat. But when the things that don't matter, I put my foot down because that was the only way I felt comfortable putting my foot down. I was just
Mm,
I came across as very confident, almost cocky, but
mm-hmm,
deep down, I refused, like with friendships, I just wouldn't talk to anyone. I eat by
mm-hmm.
myself at lunch. The group sat in a
Wow.
circle and I sat outside the circle. And it was tearing my body apart. I would get the equivalent of what appeared to be norovirus. I mean, that intensity every single month
Mm-hmm.
for a year and a half. And my
Wow.
parents were trying to figure out what's wrong, what's wrong. Is it something she's eating? Like, what is
Right.
causing this? And I found out in college, like, it's actually a disorder that's stress, and your body is just trying to release the stress in some
Right.
way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in a place of just very deep, not groundedness, not knowing who I was, and just kind of lost. And so that hole was deep for me. When I got to high school, things got better. I didn't have those viruses anymore, and I
Mm-hmm.
started to make friends, and a little bit at a time, but it came out of that a little bit. But
Right.
as most teenage girls do, I tried to find my worth in a man. That was my next thing, right? To fill that
Right.
hole with a man.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why we feel it has to go that way, but for
Right,
somehow
exactly.
we feel, I don't know. It's like, why? Why do men and women feel like their selves being attached into someone else will fulfill something that's lacking, a void? And that's how come you might even have people who become promiscuous because they're trying to fill something that man cannot fill.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what it is. But you may continue.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that, because that is very true, that we are looking to fill something that only God can fill.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth of it is, and I know that, most of our listeners know this, that it is actually when we find our fulfillment in God that those romantic relationships, should we have them in our life, are
Mm-hmm.
actually fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they're torture. It's
Yeah.
suffering, because you're looking for something that can't fulfill you for
Mm-hmm.
fulfillment, and that's not going to happen. And so I had a lot of honestly good boyfriends. They're nothing traumatic, nothing bad.
Mm-hmm.
They were all good people, but I was too attached to their opinion of me. And so when they thought highly of me, I felt great. And when they thought something, we had an argument, it was the end of the world. And went through these cycles. And
So you give them your power.
absolutely, I did. I gave those relationships that power. And it definitely led to a lot of suffering. Anytime I was single, I just didn't feel like I was worth anything. And it was a
Yeah.
difficult
That means
journey.
that you valued yourself based on how people viewed you.
Yes, absolutely. Um, and so the man that I married, and I do not regret marrying him at all. He was
Mm-hmm.
the right person for me at the time. And I still feel very positively about our relationship, and I still
Mm-hmm.
love him in the way that, soul to soul love,
Right.
not just romantic, but a genuine soul to soul love,
Mm-hmm.
me very deeply. He's a wonderful, wonderful soul. Um, he he was a heavy drinker, and I grew up with almost no alcohol in my house. And I went to a college that was a heavy drinking school. I didn't really drink, but I saw it all around me. And so when my boyfriend, fiance, then husband, would drink a lot, I just thought, oh, this is normal, because that's what I thought everyone did. I didn't
Right.
understand. And drinking, when someone becomes an alcoholic, they turn into a type of person who tends to blame others for things
Yes.
and not take ownership. And of course, my whole of needing to look for fulfillment in a man, what was absolutely not being met, because he was looking, kind of putting it all on me,
Yeah.
because that's what the illness does. It wasn't him. But in our first couple of years of marriage, he was not that way. But once the disease took hold, it became that way. And it was just not a good situation, with him being in that state of poor me, and me being in a state of let me rescue you, because if I save you, then I feel better about myself.
Right. I don't know why we be thinking that too.
It was a lot of insanity. It was a lot of insanity. Um, and so it got to the point, we had two little boys, about maybe 2 years old, and then the oldest was maybe about 5. And it was around my 30th birthday, 30, 32, somewhere in that range. And I was at my parents' house, and I was going to blow out the candles, and I asked my oldest, hey, you can make the wish for me this year. And I had no idea what this little guy was going to say, and I thought it'd
Mm-hmm.
be something cute and funny. And he said, and I was mortified, I wish mommy wouldn't cry so much.
Wow.
And I was, oh no, that's just not only embarrassed, because that kind of handed the cards to my parents that I'm not doing well. And I was trying to keep that under wraps as best I could.
Exactly.
But also, the biggest impact was, I need to do something, because my children are suffering
Right.
because I'm suffering. And I may not care about myself, but I need to care about them. And I need to do something for myself so that I can take better care of them. And so
Right.
that led me to, I'd always been a Christian and a strong Christian. However, it led me to do more listening to God than talking to God, because I think a
Right.
lot of us as Christians do a whole lot of talking to
Oh,
God.
yes. And
We
not
don't
doing any
listen.
listening.
So I started a meditation practice, and where I would just sit, my attention in my heart and just be with God. And that's the first time I felt that unconditional love, where I realized, oh, I'm worthy. Not because somebody out there, whether it's a mom or a husband or a child, says I am, or a boss. I'm worthy because I'm worthy.
Yes.
And very, very slowly, life began to get better. And it wasn't because anything out there got better. My kids were still young and all over the place. My husband was still a functional alcoholic. And I still had all the other drama in my life. Nothing changed. But I was happier and more at peace because I began to see that self-worth.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And Paul talks about that, about renewing the mind, because until we renew our mind, our whole perspective would not shift until we do so. And once we understand your value, now you can say, you know what, I'm more than this. And you start thinking accordingly, moving accordingly, dressing. It's like everything comes in. And one of the biggest things that happen is confidence. People might see you at night and day and like, what happened? What did you do different? And they're trying to figure it out. Maybe it's your hairstyle, maybe it's your clothes. What did you do? But what it was now you finally said, you know what, it's time. Yeah. You forgive yourself, cut yourself some slack, and said, you know what, there's more to me than this. And I will not let this pull me down, drag me down, lock me in. Whatever you're deciding to let it do, you release the hold. And now you are in control. You now have the remote. You can change the channel.
Yes, I agree. Otherwise, the TV is just playing stuff on repeat that you don't want to watch. It's a bunch of junk.
Yes.
You have to have the remote and say, no, I want this channel. I want the God channel. Give me the God channel. Give me the I Know My Worth channel. Turn off all the nasty. And that even, some of those patterns, and it takes time. I think we need to remember that when we take that first step, it wasn't like it was suddenly better overnight.
Right.
I mean, I noticed some shifts within the first week or two of this practice, but it took until, I'm still growing. We're still healing. It's said in the intro. We
constantly.
Never stop. But I would say it took about 5 years maybe to feel that I was fully out of that place of needing something from someone else.
But you got to understand, it took time to get it there. So there's no way that this is going to happen overnight. It took time. For some people, it took years. So there's no way it's going to happen over time. It's taking time, but you have to understand that in your mind, you already know this is the journey. This is where I'm going. And you continue this path. It doesn't mean that there are times where you fall back, you like, wait a minute, forget it. But then you say, you know what, I won't throw in the towel, and you get up. Like somebody who was in a boxing match and been knocked down, right? Are you knocked down like I can't get up, knocked down, or I'm knocked down, but I still got the will to get up? I'm going for another round. And usually when that happens and you get that zeal and that push and that stamina, you just come in, punching. Because in so doing, the opponent is going to get necked down. Sometimes you got to close your eyes and just come up swinging. And whoever get knocked and they say, wow, great punch. And you were just like, it wasn't intentional, but I just got up and I just started, punching. And that's it. So yes, it takes time. It takes time. So let's just go to a short break and we'll be right back. Right back. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be back. Let's go drink some coffee.
Remember when coffee was just coffee? A routine sip, part of the 2 billion cups consumed daily, enough to fill an Olympic swimming pool every 3 minutes. Same old flavor, same old routine. For centuries, 75% of coffee drinkers have settled for mediocrity, masking the taste with sugar, syrups, and overpriced add-ons. But what if coffee didn't just promise to be amazing? What if it actually was? Introducing Alive Coffee, the first coffee that tastes as good as it makes you feel. Meet the coffee that thinks beyond the cup. Bold, smooth, alive. Made from expertly roasted top-quality beans, Alive Coffee is smooth, rich, and shockingly delicious. Stop drinking May, start drinking Alive. The coffee that delivers just like the 90% who won't start their day without it. Alive Coffee. Wake up, take over. Feel alive.
All right, all right, all right. We're coming back up. When we left, the thing was we're not going to stay down. We're going to come up. We're alive and want to live. So it took you approximately 5 years to come into the woman that has continued to evolve today. So let's continue from there.
Absolutely. So I think one thing that's important to note is that I didn't start my full-time job because I was home with my children from the bulk of their toddler years, which is about
Okay.
8 years if you consider both kids combined. And so when my youngest was in kindergarten, so that's about 3 or 4 years into this healing process, was when I started back in full-time work as a high school teacher. And so by the time I was back in the school building, I had that joy about me that was palpable to people. My students saw it, my coworkers saw it, and they didn't know what was going on at home. They didn't know what was all this stuff. And so they all just figured my life was just hunky-dory, that was why I was so happy, was this circumstance. And, that they didn't know what was going on. Around that same time, again, I'm just starting back at work. This is when my husband begins to hit his bottom. It takes a couple years, but it's this period where his health begins to fail. And we are at an amusement park with my dad and our kids, and my husband's drinking or clearly inebriated at the amusement park. And my dad realizes what's going on. And he's the only one, except for me, who my husband ever admitted he was an alcoholic to until he finally got sober 3 months before he died. So it was very weird having just this weird thing with just me, my dad, my mom, and my husband. They're the only ones who knew about this. And my kids didn't know. Like, they're just really kind of very, again, closed off. And at that time, when my dad found out, and my dad was trying to do kind of intervention to help my husband out and is with me a little bit, but then my husband was angry with my dad, and there was just a lot of drama there, a lot of tension. It was the holiday season, because all things happen during the holiday season.
Right.
And this goes back to the mother thing. This is just a really cool story that I'm fuming, and I feel this knock on my heart, and I almost hear the words in my head. Like, it's not a voice, but like something that's not my own thinking. It says, "Hey, it's your mom. Pick up the phone and call your dad. Let him know that I love him." It's like, you got to be kidding. I don't want to talk to dad right now. I don't want to talk to dad right now. And she knew this. This is my birth mother, right? And you're going to, at first, you might think she's kind of kooky, right? I'm making this stuff up, but there's something at the end of this going to be to tell you that this is a real thing. And I think this happened because she knew I wouldn't call my dad for me, but I would call for her. And so I'm thinking, this is crazy. My dad, I'm not going to call him. This is just a weird thing to tell him. Your deceased wife told me to tell you this. This is just very awkward. And so I'm thinking, well, just give me a sign. Give me a sign. I don't know. And this, again, a thought popped in my head, birds. Birds. And I thought, I don't need a sign. Why am I asking for a sign? I don't need to test this. I'm just going to do it. Like, what's the harm in calling my father? So I pick up the phone and I say, "Hey, Dad, it's me. This is what I'm feeling. I don't know why, but I'm supposed to call you." And I look out the window. I'm walking towards the window. I look out the window. And in the tree nearby our house, there's a whole, I don't know what the word for it is, flock of vultures covering this tree.
Wow.
Absolutely covering this tree. I break down crying at this point because I'm realizing, well, there's the sign. I asked for it. I did before I saw it. And then I find out later that my dad asked my mom, like when they were dating, to communicate with him with birds.
Wow.
I didn't even know that. So that confirmed, number one, that it was her. And
Mm-hmm.
number two, that this was legitimate. This was what
Mm-hmm.
was happening. So again, my mom's taking care of me when I'm pushing my dad away because my husband's angry, and here I am still playing that role of I'm going to make my husband happy, and even I'm going to side with him even though it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Still doing that same habit. She is saving me, protecting the relationship with my dad, holding me. And so that's just a really, really cool moment there. And she comes in the story again a couple years later. My husband's health continues to get worse. I can see that he has yellow in his eyes. So he's clearly, something's wrong with his liver.
Right.
But again, I'm very naive, and he's in his late 30s. I'm thinking there's no way he's anywhere near like life-threatening. This is just, maybe he needs to just stop drinking and his liver can heal. It'll be fine.
So he had like liver cirrhosis.
He had cirrhosis, and I knew there was something wrong with his liver. I didn't realize how bad it was at the time. And I'm out for a walk. This is towards the end of COVID. So we're coming out of quarantine. I'm just going for nightly walks to just get some fresh air. And as I'm walking, I feel this incredible peace come over me, just a blanket of love. And as I'm walking, again, these words pop in my head. And again, it's your mom. And I want you to know that you're going to lose your husband, but it's the best thing for everyone involved. And I'm in this weird sort of blanket of love. I'm very calm. Of course, my brain's screaming and saying, no, this can't happen. How can it possibly be the best thing involved, especially for the children losing their dad and his parents, all of this. This just can't be good.
Right.
Is there any way out of this? Can I do something about it? And the answer was, no, you just need to accept it. It's all going to be okay. We've got you. And so that blanket kind of stays with me for about 24 hours, which keeps me calm from losing my stuff as I'm going through this. And it keeps me from saying anything to my husband about it. I just kind of can go home and I'm just sort of just cuddling up to him, but not willing to share what happened. And so that was November. And then that April, he, at that point, his liver, I can even see this is not going well. I mean, he had the protruding stomach from the fluid retention at this point. He couldn't breathe well, and he's emaciated except for the fluid. And he's still refusing help. He admits that he's an alcoholic, but he's refusing. And I'm just kneel down beside the bed. And this is the moment that I finally get past what I now know was codependency. And I'm helping him put his shoes on because he can't even put his shoes on at this point. Like, he's so weak, he can't even put his shoes on.
Right.
Or can he reach his feet? It's amazing, what it can take you to. And as I'm helping him out of bed, I say, honey, it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't. There are people here, including me, who are willing to help, and we love you. But you have to do this for yourself.
Right.
And it was the first time I really called him on it in a way that wasn't begging him to stop drinking or pretending I didn't see it or any of the games. It was pure just love. I love you. And you're doing this to yourself. And we're here to help. It was that one moment of clarity where I was coming from a place of Holy Spirit inspiration.
Yeah.
And that was the day that he went to work. He collapsed in the bathroom, went to the hospital, and got sober.
Wow.
He almost died in the hospital. The doctors, were telling me we don't know if he's going to make it.
Right.
And I got on my knees and prayed and said, God, I know that you told me he wasn't going to make it, but can it please not be now? Please give him time to forgive himself. Can you give the boys a chance to see their dad sober?
Right.
And I felt like it was that Hezekiah moment,
Yeah. Give me, yes.
Give me a little bit more time. But
that's Hezekiah, only when you have something to bargain with. You know what I'm saying? Yes.
I didn't have a lot to. I did say, give him a chance to forgive himself.
Yes.
And I'm sure that God
likes that. He likes that.
Yeah. And Hezekiah didn't make a lot of good use of his time, but my husband did. And I'm very proud of him for that. That's
good. That's good that he did eventually.
He was a different man. a completely different man. And
And I'm happy
we,
for you to have that experience, that even
yeah,
though it was short lived.
yes, I got to see the man that behind the illness, because it was the illness. Alcoholism is an illness. It's not who they are.
Hmm.
And I got to see that and experience that. Um, it was a beautiful 3 or 4 months that we had together. And after it was, that was like Aprilish, and then it was the end of August, and he had in the midst of like early August, late July, early August, he had an infection that was really bad, and he was hospitalized again. He never quite made it back from that infection.
Oh, wow.
The health wasn't great, but he was, doing okay. And this one day, late August, he says to me, Leah, it's time to finish your book. And I was writing my first book, which I know we'll talk about at the end. It's not really
Hmm.
important to the story, but he knew that I think he knew he was going to pass.
Right, right.
And so he said, boys are coming in with me. We're going to let mom publish her book today. And I hit publish. The next morning he passed away at home.
Wow.
And so he got to be home with his kids. And the last thing he said to the boys was, listen to your mama. And at that point, I didn't even know that he was going to pass. And then it was
Right,
like
right.
3 minutes after that he basically died in my arms.
Oh,
So it
well, I'm sorry
was,
for your loss.
thank
I
you.
can.
So what was crazy is about all of this is my greatest fear after watching my dad. I didn't watch my dad lose my mom, but I watched him grieve continually. Like even though he loved my current mother.
Right, but you saw the lack. You didn't know what it was until everything came together. Then
Yes.
you understood your father and yourself.
Yes. And there, in that hole that, there was that special relationship, the high school sweetheart that he had, and to have that
Hmm.
close bond. And he loves both of his wives equally, but very differently. They're very different
Right.
relationships. And there's that hole from losing that and being taken away. I mean, I had some closure with my husband. I
Mm.
mean, it was a car accident. He had no closure. It was just, she was gone. And I completely unexpectedly, I had 9 months warning. So
Wow.
it's a very different experience. And I saw that trauma that he went through, and it scared me so much that I never wanted to lose a spouse.
Yeah.
Partially because of seeing him go through it, and partially because of what we talked about in the beginning of that was where I found my fulfillment.
Right.
That was a part of me. And if I were to lose a spouse, then what am I have to live for?
Right.
Like,
You feel
what's
like you're
left of
nothing
me?
without this individual.
Yes. I really thought that would be the end of me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
And even I was told during that first couple of days, people would come up to me and say, Leah, you're just going to have to survive this next year. Just survive. And that didn't sit right with me
Right.
because, again, I was coming from this place of joy up until that point. I'd
Right.
risen up, come back fighting, swinging. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I'm not just going to be surviving. I'm going to thrive. God wants me to thrive. I believe I'm going to thrive.
Right.
And I gave my life over to God, and I said, God, I'm going to lean on you hard here. And I trust that there's going to be tough days, but you're going
Mm-hmm.
to turn this into something beautiful.
Yes.
And he did. And he was good and faithful to that. And that is what finally healed my mother wound,
Wow.
was realizing, and I had moments where I could feel that presence of my husband. There was one of my couple stories, that just little ones, that I think we tend to brush off if people pass, like the things that they leave us. There's little
Right.
cookie crumbs that they're looking out for us. One of
Mm-hmm.
them was, this was his birthday. So he passed, I honestly don't know the date. I know it was the day before school started, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what stuck in my mind was the kids went back to school the next day, and he died the day before school started. They still went to school the
Wow.
next day because they wanted to. But
Right.
yeah. But that was, I don't remember the exact date, but so about 5 or 6 days later was his birthday. And I went up to visit my parents and grandmother. And at the time I liked country music a lot. And I was listening to country music up on the way, and my boys were loving it. And they said, listen to the radio, Mom, we love this. And I'm trying to help them get through their grief. So I'm playing
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever they want. But every country song was a love song that day. And my heart is just
They
aching.
mostly are 97%.
Yes. It is. It's either you're losing your dog, your car, your
You're
truck, your
losing
wife, or you're getting
something
them back.
and you want something back.
Exactly. And so it was just hitting hard, and I was not doing well. I was really, really struggling. And I get back in the van to come home, and it's a hour and 15-minute drive from my grandmother's house back home. And I go to turn on the radio, and I kid you not, and this is a relatively new car, and it has never done this since.
Mm-hmm.
It refused to turn on.
Wow.
The radio would not function. I tried 3 or 4 times. I'm trying to give the kids some entertainment. Nothing. But I needed it. I needed that quiet. I didn't need to listen to that music. And as I pulled in the driveway to our house, the radio kicks on.
Wow.
And so it was that symbol of, I'm taking care of you. You're not going to do this to yourself because
Yes.
you matter too. And your healing matters.
Yes.
And then there were some other little things that happened. That we went to a baseball game with my brother-in-law, and there was this inside joke in our family that we were behind this other car. Or a car was behind us, and his license plate said "Money One," like the word "money" and like a one.
Uh-huh.
And I was driving a Honda Civic at the time, a hybrid Honda Civic, and it's not a powerful car. And so my husband was a real comedian. He was hysterical, and he's like, "Oh, Money One's trying to catch up with a mighty Honda Civic," and teasing us. So we're sitting at the game, and we're looking out, and one of the advertisements is a bank called Money One.
Wow.
And the kids and I look at it, and we look at each other, and we're thinking, yeah. Hey, Daddy. Just those little things, and whether they are or not, it's just the comfort of just, hey, he's looking out for us. And there's 1,000 other stories I could tell, but the point is that it healed me. Losing him helped me to realize, and I had that communication with my mother too through all this, about knowing that I was going to lose him, the thing with the birds in the tree, that no one we lose is truly gone. Right. You can't ever be separated from them. It's just
you gotta understand that people are spiritual beings. So even if people are no longer in this envelope of the body, they're spirit. All right, we're spiritual beings. The body is just an outward encasement, right? But the real you is actually you, your soul. And that's why the Bible tells us to take care of our soul, to take care of our spirit. You understand? Because this body, it's not going anywhere with us. We go through the aches, the pains, the suffering, but that's not truly who we are. Right. Even though I see today people put so much emphasis on the aesthetics of themselves and the changes of themselves, but that is not who you are. You are your spirit. You are your soul, the inner man. That's who you are. That's your spirit. So yes, people, spirit. I mean, that's why I call it spirit. It's not something that we can tangibly touch. You understand? But that is who you are. Talking to you right now, Leah, you are not your outward appearance. You understand? You are the inner you, the soul. Mm-hmm. That's who you are. And that's why the Bible always tells us to guard our heart. He's not talking about our physical heart, but he's talking about us spiritually. You see? Yes.
Absolutely. And that's what we have. And that's what lives on. We can't ever lose that. I mean, yes, we're going to grieve. And, in the book, It's Okay to Be Okay, which is my second book.
We're going to pull up those books here. So let's go in here. Let's pull up this first one here.
That's the one I published the day before he passed.
Wow. And
then you can understand, given the title there, that I wouldn't want to have dealt with that while grieving. Talking about what comes after this life, that's a tough one.
Wow.
And that one is, it's a compilation. I read about 500 near-death experiences, and I wrote one narrative that kind of, with a bunch of footnotes, that encapsulates, if you were to have one big experience, and from a Christian lens, what would that look like? What would it feel like? And so it's, instead of reading 500, you can just read one and get the gist, and then go explore on your own whatever avenues you'd like from there. But that was a joy to write. And then the second one is It's Okay to Be Okay. I apologize, I didn't get a good picture of this one, but how grief is a pathway to blessing and new life. That, grief, it took losing my husband for me to be able to heal. I mean, and that's just, it's why did it have to take that? But It's what I needed, was to know that my worth is not caught up in any relationship.
Right.
It's in here.
Because
And
people do that. People do
yes,
that all the time. See, you've said a lot of typical human nature,
yes,
trying to change for people, trying to be this for people, giving so much to someone, valuing ourselves, seeing ourselves as people see us and not how God sees us, all of these things. And now it is what you thought was your world, what you thought was your everything
yeah,
shifted. All right. And once it shifted, you felt like all is lost, all is done. But then you realize that was not who you were. You
right,
know, you were in a situation, you was in a relationship, right? And I say this many times, when two individuals come together, it shouldn't be two broken people.
correct,
It should be two people that are whole. It takes, the Bible tells us, the man would leave his family to become one with his wife, but he's leaving whole to become to her being whole, two wholes equaling one. But if we have two broken halves trying to mesh together like a puzzle, they don't fit. You
right,
understand? And so that's where we have all of these things happening in life. What, trying to accommodate, you know, linking in to all of those groups, and that's what you was doing, trying to overcompensate, trying to or apologize,
yes,
even just to be the mediator, apologizing even when you didn't do anything, saying I'm sorry even when you didn't do anything,
yes,
just because you want to fill in, just to help this person. But guess what? When we do that, we're really not letting this person truly see themselves, because we don't give them the time. We need to put that mirror in the front of them to say, here is who I am. You understand? I don't want to be the reflection that you're projecting. That's not me. That is your view. That is your perspective. You understand? But instead, we tend to compensate, overdo this and overdo that. You understand? And before you know it, you're a shadow of who you are. And
yep,
I'm sure you had to go through building your life. So let's go to this point of building your life, bringing Leah back. Let's talk about that, because now you have to confront who you are.
yes. Um, it was pretty clear, pretty fast. Like I was amazed, and that's why the title is "It's Okay to Be Okay," because it was amazed how okay I was, and the freedom I had. I already had gotten better. Like I said, I had so much healing in that
Hmm.
5 to 6 years, but I still had more to do. And all of a sudden, I was like, I want to do this today, and this is what I need for my Dr. Lynn. It got so bad at one point. I told you I was meditating,
Hmm.
that my husband asked me not to meditate in the morning
Wow.
because it made him feel like bad, because he went to work and I was home for the summer because
Hmm.
I was a teacher. And he said he felt like I was rubbing it in that I was home when I meditated in the morning.
Wow.
Okay, now this is the illness talking. This is not my
Right,
husband,
right,
right? To be clear, the sober him would never have said that.
right,
And the
right,
thing is, I struggled to push back on that one. And I finally had the strength to say, hey, I do this so that I can be my best for you and the children.
right.
If I don't take care of myself, then I'm no good for you. But it
That's
took a
it.
lot, and tears and struggle to get myself to say that.
I'm sure.
And
I'm sure.
even still, I still try to hide it. I would like sneak out and go into the room, not
Right.
make it obvious. But I was able to think and say, just wake up and do it with me. You have time.
Yeah.
Come meditate with me. Come join me.
Right.
And at the end, he actually did. So before he
You
passed,
know,
he would
people,
meditate with me.
when you're doing what you're doing, people tend to see what they're lacking and they will voice it. They will voice it. And men, of course, have an ego. And if their ego is feeling rubbed, it's not even about the situation. Men are very egotistical. Okay. So it will project, you know, in truth, what he's saying is because you have the time, you're healing, and the person know that they could do better.
Yeah,
They know they could do
exactly
better,
it.
but it's how bad do you want it? And
Yeah,
so you're doing this meditation and saying, look, she's trying to get herself good. She's doing this to calm herself, and the person feel guilty. So he responded from a place of feeling guilty in truth.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, it's exactly what that was. And I could only half see it at the time. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what the strength was, is learning how to do that. Once I had that, he had moved on to the other side, and
Right.
I could still feel that as nudges. And it's interesting because every message I got from him once he had passed on, and even
Mm-hmm.
those last couple of months, I got the same messages, but he was even clearer when he passed on, was let
Mm-hmm.
me take care of you, which was just, this was, because when you get rid of the illness, when you get out of, like you said, the ego, and women have them too, when we
Yeah.
get out of those egos, all we care about is loving the other person and making sure that they're taken care of. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, we take care of ourselves as well. But because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're no good for anyone.
Oh, no.
And but that message came through loud and clear to me. Let me take care of you. It's time for you to take care of you and our children. And that's what I did. I spent that next year, and I had such a network. I had grandparents, neighbors, family, friends,
You had a community.
a whole community that just held us emotionally and supported the kids with, the gym teacher at their elementary school came to their sports games, things like that.
Wow.
Just the sweetest things. They each had male teachers that year. That's
Wow.
God taking care of them, right? You don't usually have male
Mm-hmm.
teachers in elementary school. Both boys had a male teacher
Mm-hmm.
that year. Those sorts of things happened. And we got a dog because my husband, it was one of my favorite jokes that he said. I asked him, if you could have a dog, what kind of dog? If you had to have a dog, what kind of dog would
Mm-hmm.
you get? And he said, one with stage 4 cancer, because I would love
Wow.
it real well for about 2 weeks and then I wouldn't have to take care of it anymore.
Wow.
Which I appreciated the humor and his honesty. But a year after he passed, we got a dog. And
Mm-hmm.
that's been wonderful too. So all those little changes, we honored him
Right.
in a lot of ways. We got quilts that had his different clothes that he wore. We made daddy quilts,
Mm-hmm.
so that we each should have one of those. And the memories. My kids, my oldest is now going high school next year, and he can fit into some of his dad's clothes. And he wore his
Wow.
dad's leather jacket to his middle school graduation.
Wow.
So like we have these things, we celebrate. There's pictures of dad in the house still, even though I've remarried. There's still pictures of dad in the house.
I was just gonna say that. Like I said, let's talk about Leah now, because you had to find yourself. Who is she today? Because you had that was what built you into the woman that you are.
Yes.
And so now it brought you into a whole new relationship. I'm sure now you know what to look for, the signs, what you don't want, and all of that. And talk about Leah, okay? Who are you today? What do you want today? What do you want for the future? We're talking about you now, because as a mother, we nurture, 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 nurture,
Mm-hmm.
nurture. Our kids grow out of the house and we're still in that space. But what I realize is you need, yes, you got your clarity, you got your power back, you got your remote back. But again, you might be in a second relationship, but certain things can repeat if you didn't truly heal.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Yes, and that's something that we have had to be very cognizant of, and I have had to
Mm-hmm.
be very, very aware of going forward. And one of the things that I told my now husband early on is, this is who I am. I'm a lioness kind of woman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out there. I have a public personality. I'm on podcasts. I write books. I have a YouTube channel.
Right.
I'm a teacher, so I'm very public there. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
talker. I'm fiery, right? I have not a
Right.
temper, but fiery as far as personality.
Right. Expressive.
Yes, and I'm not going to back down on that. Like, this is who I am, and this is like first or second date we were talking, and I said, I
Mm-hmm.
need you to not need me.
Right.
Because if you need me, this is not going to work. If you are
Right.
looking to, because this is who I'm going to be this. And I don't care what you do with you, because I want you to be the fullest, best version of yourself.
Right. Right.
And he is a very different personality.
Basically, what you were saying is don't hinder, don't become a barrier.
Yes.
Don't become a stumbling block. Don't block my path. It's not that you don't want to be there for him, because obviously that's the whole point of being in a relationship. But
Right.
the thing is, you want to be you without this person feeling that they're so dependent on you, pulling you back to your previous relationship of
Right.
having to be in that position of being the mediator, being the coach, being, all of this. But you
Yeah.
want to pour into me, because I've been pouring. Let's pour
Yes.
into each other. Let's reciprocate
Exactly.
this. When I'm happy, let's be happy together and not become, a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like be each other's cheerleaders. And it's, I'm going to be your cheerleader. And I'm going to cheer you on in your dreams. And whatever you want to do, I'm going to back you, support you, do whatever. But I
Right.
need you to do the same for me.
That's
And
it.
I'm not here to serve you and meet your needs
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Yeah, we're here to help each other grow.
Right.
We're going to be
The
co-partners.
key word
And
is helpmate.
yes, and we're going to serve God together. And if you're in here and in this to serve God together with the rest of our
Mm-hmm.
lives, because all I want, Dr. Lynn, you asked me, and this is what I pray to God long before I met my husband. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, I wasn't planning on dating for another still 4 or 5 years in the future.
Mm-hmm.
God surprised me; he had other plans, but but at the time, I was not planning on it. And I say, God, I want to walk through the world without that ego, and just love and serve people, and let the
Right.
Holy Spirit just work through me and just love and take care of people. That's what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And but what does that look like? Well, that looks like taking care of myself too, because if I'm
Of
not taking care of
course.
me,
Of
what,
course.
what are we doing? And it
Mm-hmm.
means not going, this little light of mine, right? We're not putting under a bushel basket.
Right.
We're not gonna cower because someone feels afraid of our light.
Like, I
You
want to
know?
live. I don't want to just exist. I want to
Yes.
live my life. I want to be spontaneous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love my husband is absolutely supportive of me. And
That's
there are
good.
moments that he has been fine, but that I go down that path just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I need to ask permission for now,
Yes.
logistics. Like today, I needed to check in with him about the change in the interview
Right.
time, right?
I mean,
Because
it
that's
makes sense. You're in a
courtesy.
relationship. Something's gonna
Yeah,
happen that not in the norm. Hey, there's something I need to do, but I just need to let you know. Here's what
right.
I need to. Yeah,
But
it's
as I told
respect.
you,
That's respect.
99% this is going to be fine because I know him, and but I just want to be courteous,
Right.
but no, but there are some things of I'm doing this and I need to do it. And I know he's going to say yes, but there are still those moments where I think, well, maybe I shouldn't ask for that.
Right.
Maybe that's asking too much, or
Right.
maybe I shouldn't ask him to help with this, that, or the other thing around the house. I should just handle it. And
Right.
then I stopped myself. I said, whoa, is this a pattern you want to go down?
Right. Right.
Are you going to empower him, or are you going to emasculate him? Because when you're
Right.
going to just go do everything for him, just because you think that's a nice thing to do, that's
Mm-hmm.
not helping anything. When you're just going to cower and say, well, I'm not going to do this because I'm stepping on your toes, maybe.
Right.
No, no. When we're our fullest and best selves, and we're just enjoying each other's company, and we're each other's
Yeah.
cheerleaders, and that is totally different. It's a God-centered
Yes.
relationship, and that's what I have now. And to be clear, it's not the person. I know it's so funny is I've seen that
Yes.
it's not the person that made the difference. My
Yes.
Brett and my current husband, who I'm going to keep anonymous, but my name, but they are honestly not that different. The
Wow.
difference is the healing.
Yeah.
The difference is that we know how to live and have our minds renewed and to live
That's
in Christ.
it. That's
And we
it.
know how to walk together in faith.
And that's what you need. That's what you need when you're on this journey of renewal, this journey of healing. The person in your life also have to be on that path so they don't pull you back into a place that you don't want to go into. Because unfortunately, sometimes that happens. People end up sometimes getting into a worse off situation. Whether they said, you know what, I should have just stayed single. I should have stayed by myself if this is what's happening. So that's what I always say. If people are going to remarry, go in with your eyes open. Go and heal. Do not come into another relationship until you've healed. You've dealt with all of your issues. I know healing is continuous, but those major things have to be reckoned. You have to look in the mirror and fix it before you bring someone else in, because it's just going to continue being a continuous cycle. So we are about to end here, Leah, and you've been a great guest here on the podcast. And I want everybody to know how they can connect with you. Now, where can they find your books before we disconnect here?
Yeah, they're at the Edge of the Jordans, both on Amazon and Barnes. It's Okay to Be Okay. I only have on Amazon at this point. Maybe this summer
Okay.
I'll get it on Barnes and Noble.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed I'll get around to doing that.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
The best way to connect with me is through my website, thecontemplativechristian.com. I'll say that again, thecontemplativechristian.com. And that has
Contemplativechristian.com. All those links will be in the description, so you'll be able to connect. If you find her relatable, tell her that you saw her on Emerge and Empower and you love the story, and whatever it is you want to say. If she bless you, if whatever she brought into your life, do not be silent. All right, we are no longer in silence. We got to say it. Healing allows you to voice and not be ashamed of expressing yourself. Okay, so we're going to close at this time. And Leah, I really thank you so much for being here on the podcast on today. Everyone, I want to thank each and every one of you. If you connect, stay connected and build. Subscribe. I won't get tired of your subscriptions and I won't get tired of your views. That's how we can move around the world globally. We've had people from Australia. We have people logging in, calling in from Poland. We have people calling in from Ghana. All right. So all around the world. Remember also, we have Emerging in Power. As much as we would like to have the bilingual segment that comes on Saturdays, we would love to have you here to share your stories for those who, to have a story to tell, but they don't speak English. If it is Spanish, bring an interpreter. If you speak Creole, I'm here. I'm your girl, because we want to tell these stories, because you still can read someone who is going through, doesn't matter what language, because guess what? All around the world, we're all feeling the same things, going through the same emotions. It doesn't matter what continent you're on. As long as you're human, someone is going through exactly what you're going through right now, what you went through yesterday. So you are not in this alone. Don't give up. Don't give up. So, Leah, before we close out, I would like for you to just come back here and just close off for us in prayer. Whatever the Holy Spirit put on your heart, let us just flow into this segment right now.
all right. Dear God, thank you so much for this amazing group of believers who want something more for their lives. They don't want to stay bound. They don't want to stay in their chains, Lord Jesus. We want to be free. We want to be free to love you and to serve you. We want the complete peace that passes all understanding, that joy that no one can take away. And we can only have that, dear Lord, when we surrender to you, to your will for our life. And when we are ready and willing to say, not my way anymore, your way, God. Show me the path to healing. Help me to let go of the control, of the bitterness, of the pain, and to walk into the light and to trust you completely with everything that we have. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for being on here, and everyone. Let's show her some love in the comments, put on the podcast, wherever you're listening or watching from. Always show my guests some love, because if I was in your house, you will show me love. So show my guests love, okay? Let them know, like, yay! All right, put them hearts, okay? And put those comments in. And thank you so much, Leah. Until next time, everyone, stay tuned, because there's always more. Bye-bye.